All right. Good morning. Good morning, people. It's early morning. Welcome to Senior Talk. I'm your host today, filling in for Miss Clara Hubbard, LaDonna Ray. You listen to me Monday through Thursday on the afternoon show, but I am filling in for the Senior Talk show. I am so honored to be here. Number one, those of you that know my story, I'll tell you why I'm honored. First of all, I love my senior community. And I'm a pre senior. I'm a sandwich kid. I'm a sandwich caregiver. And this, well, I want to start with the Senior Talk being brought to you by Chicago Commons, number one. It comes each and every week on Saturday. And we love to be a resource to all of the seniors that are listening out there. But the reason why I love this to fill in for this show is because I've actually listened to this show. Being a sandwich caregiver myself to my senior parents, especially my father, both of my parents have cancer. My father had a stroke. He has COPD, congestive heart failure. His mobility is very limited. He's in rehabilitation right now as we speak. And I've learned on the job about forced retirement, social security, and out of pocket expenses, not to mention pre need legalities. So, being a mother of four boys, I have two teenagers at home. My daddy worked at the steel mill for over 50 years. And what does that say about seniors? You guys have a lot to work with. The longer it takes to get it together and know what's in place, the harder it can be. But because of this show being brought to you again by Chicago Commons, I think it makes it a little bit easier to have an open conversation as a senior. Even though I'm not a senior yet, I know that day is coming. So I am happy to bring on our very important guest for today. As you know, he's going to help walk us through a journey that you all are very familiar with. That journey is inevitable. We're talking about Congressman Danny K. Davis. As you know, he has represented Illinois in Congress since 1997, nearly 3 decades of leadership, advocacy, and commitment to the people. He began his chapter of his life in his mid 50s. And now I'm assuming you about 80 plus, Congressman.
I am 84.
And you say it with your whole chest. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And, I just love Chicago Commons in terms of the social work that they've been doing and continue to do for a long time. But I am indeed pleased to be with you this morning and on the show.
I appreciate that.
See,
I see you
see,
all the time. Oh, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
no, I was just going to say that, being a senior is wonderful because it means that you can share the experiences that you've had. And listening to you talk about your family just reminded me my father lived with me on the weekend for the last 5 or 6 years of his life until he was 92. And the interesting thing is, every weekend when I would get home, I would run and pick him up from the day program that my sister had him engaged in. And then everything I did the rest of that weekend, he did it with me. Wherever I went, he went to meetings. He had a lot of fun. People would, just kind of be amazed. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful experience for me and for him and my wife. And my, my wife just got back from Indianapolis. Now, I'm 84. She wouldn't want me to do it, but my wife is 85.
Oh, you
and,
telling her
and
age.
she wouldn't want me. But she drives her car. She goes everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
She's involved with the AKA, sorority. And she went to Indianapolis to the regional conference just this past week. And so this business of aging is there are so many things that people who are experienced manage to do. I visit senior buildings all the time and meet with senior groups, and we have a lot of fun talking. The first thing I say is, look, I'm probably older than most of you. and, and then when we get started, yeah, it does turn out to be that I am, but there's a senior building right across the street from where I live. Just I can walk across, and I do all the time. And I also live near several other senior buildings, and I go in there on the weekends and just have fun. Sometimes we sing a little bit. Try to sing. I can't sing a lick.
I was gonna ask, are you the singer of the day when you walk in?
Well, sometimes they don't even know that. They just know that I'm an elected person, or they know I'm a politician. But I remember one election when, some people thought that I may not win. And of course I did win. And the first thing that I said at the party was, never count the seniors out. It was the seniors who brought us through.
That's right. That's right. Well, you spent so many years in public service. It's been structured and scheduled and always needed by the community. What was the moment when you said, it's time? It's time to put in my hat and retire.
Part of it was that there was a lot of conversation going on, and so when you're doing things, especially if you're in the public eye, you've got to be optimistic that you're going to be doing things futuristically the next year and the next month and the next whatever. For example, I'm on my way to a meeting in the next few minutes. And I got two this morning. One is at 8 and the other one is at 9. Not to mention 2 other events that I will do during the day, and we'll go out in the south suburbs this evening to an event with Bernie Mac is featured, but it's really about health care and about kidney care, and it's about all of that. And so the moment I decided to kind of pass the baton, if you will, I decided that I wanted to stop and write a book. I've had so many wonderful experiences, met so many delightful people, and I really want to illustrate, or I want to write about them. I want, for example, there's a big event coming up Juneteenth for a woman named Nancy Jefferson. Her daughter has written a play about her. When Nancy was alive, we used to call her the Mother Teresa of the West Side. And her daughter has written a play. Of course, I want to write about these people who have undergirded all of the many things. I want to write about Harold Washington. I want to write about people like my father and my mother,
Mm.
who had virtually no formal education and all of that stuff, but were two of the most wonderful people in the world. And hardly ever do I make a speech or talk about anything without mentioning the role that my parents played in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do that. I want to write about the woman who was my first school teacher, Miss Beattie King. And I remember her so well and how impactful. I went to a one-room school
Mm-hmm.
when I started school.
Wow. Talk about back in the day. I mean, I think about how, everyone that I've spoken to that is a senior, there's so much history behind them, and you can picture the things that we've read about, but to hear you talk about it, it takes us back through those times, the one room schoolhouse or the one room school. I talk to my father quite a bit, and when he gets going, it's hard to shut him up. But I want to hear every little detail, and because I have, as much time as I've had with him, we don't know when that day is coming for either of us. I don't ever want those stories to end, but I really want to be honest because as I spoke earlier, I had to take a crash course on retiring my dad, and I had no idea where to start because, and of course, he had never retired. He told me to call his union rep, but when the reality check comes, you know what I mean? So when the reality check comes in, uh, a lot of people don't prepare for retirement until it's too late. What did you do early that others should be doing right now?
Well, I think was to recognize that in terms of work, I really didn't have or don't have a job. I have a commitment. And so even when I no longer have a title, which will be at the end of this year, I will still continue to do most of the same things that I do now. And people ask me about that, and I often say, look, I said, oh, you're going to go fishing? And so on. I said, no, I'm going to work until my days are done. I'll cease from sorrow. There will be no tomorrow.
Mm.
And I do it then. I'm kind of like my father. My father didn't. My father was 87 years old
Yeah.
and was working. And we finally convinced him that he ought to come and live with us and spend the rest of his life because his last wife had died and he was alone. And we said, look, you can come out and live with us. And he finally agreed. And I went and moved him. He was living in a town, Durham, Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
I took a U-Haul. He said, I got to have my bed. He said, because I've been sleeping on it for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought his bed and all that stuff. But he never slept in it. My sister had already prepared a room for him. And so he never even thought about the bed. I said, I went through all these changes.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, I thought I needed it, but I guess I didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was 87. And I saw one of his check stubs as I was, getting his things together.
Yeah.
I said, I thought you said you only worked part-time. He said, well, some weeks I may go a little over.
Okay.
But he was working, having
Mm-hmm.
fun, enjoying himself. And my staff now, they talk about him because he used to spend a lot of time in my office. And he just had one of my staff people just yesterday brought me a photograph where he'd taken a picture with President Barack Obama and some of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved it. I think there's a way, one big problem with the senior population right now is the business of loneliness.
Yes.
There are many seniors who live alone, who are not engaged, are not in, and often when I go into senior buildings, the activity directors will, help bring people down and help make sure that people know that we're going to be there. Sometimes we may have some refreshments, but many of them like to talk. I've been to 3 more than 100-year-old birthday parties.
Oh my
In
goodness.
the last few months. Oh, absolutely.
I never even thought about that.
One lady was 103. Another one was 104. I went to another one, a birthday party that was not in the building. The lady was 108. The oldest person that I've had interaction with and all of that was 109.
Wow.
And then she passed away, and I went to her funeral. And oh my goodness, it was at the House of Hope. Because so many people were
Oh
gone.
my, right. 109 years worth of relationships. Yeah, she outlived quite a few of her own friends and even maybe her children. That's something to think about.
Oh, I went to another one with the community named the street after this lady at her birthday party. She was 102. And all of these things are going on. And there are other people, who kind of sit around and think nothing is happening, nothing is going on. So, yeah, I want to chronicle some of those experiences. I go into buildings sometimes and don't even have to say anything, just listen to them talk about whatever it is that we talk about. And I always say, look, I don't have no potholes. I ain't bringing no pots. I don't have no trinkets. I didn't come to bring any.
Right, bearing gifts. Yeah.
That's not, and that's not what people really want.
Right. They want your ear. They want your companionship. They want your time. I don't want to get too political, but some seniors may have a business that they are managing and have managed for a long time, and they may not have put together a succession plan. In your case, you endorsed LaShawn Ford as your successor. It's so powerful because it made you confident enough to pass the torch to him, and he is definitely part of your team. What is it that you would tell LaShawn Ford to do that you did not get a chance to do while you were congressman? What advice would you give him?
To know, I always say philosophically that freedom is a hard-won thing. Every generation has to win it and win it again. That all of the issues that we deal with remain. You don't get rid of the issues because you work on them. You work to improve the quality of life and sustain the quality of life that you and the generation of your being have been able to develop. And so I don't give a lot of advice. I joke about it. One of the reasons I say it is my father used to say, Well, I don't tell people a lot of stuff to do, and I don't give a lot of advice because a wise man don't need it, and a fool won't heed it.
Hold on, let me write that down. I couldn't even type. I was over here ready to shout when you said that. I just want to remind people you're listening to the to Senior Talk on WVON 1690, and our very esteemed guest today is Congressman Danny K. Davis. This is brought to you by Chicago Commons, and we have the phone lines open at 773-591-1690. Seniors, we want to hear from you. We have a few minutes with Congressman Danny Davis, and he has been sharing with us all that he is going to write about, what he has seen, his interactions with other seniors. I'm even visualizing you coming out on your porch, seeing these senior buildings and being able to walk over and talk to your friends, so this gives us a picture of how to not deal with you mentioned loneliness, and I'm learning vicariously through the seniors that I've been a part of and taken care of, that is a real issue. It is, you no matter how many friends you had or have, or siblings or family members, the older you get, the more isolated you can become, and loneliness can kick in. I want to go ahead and grab Mama D. Mama D, you're live on WVON. Good morning. Oh, let's get Mama D. Maybe I got to get Mama D. Give me a second. Mama D, you're live on 16 on WVON. Good morning.
Yes, well, good morning.
Yes, ma'am. I got you on with Congressman Danny Davis.
Yes, he's one of my favorite people in the whole world. We go back a ways.
You're one of mine.
I wanted to remind you that parents, honoring your mother and father, is mentioned in the Ten Commandments. Blessed are you when you have days that are long. And I think that we could use that blessing in times like these. And I also wanted to remind you that I went to a 3-room schoolhouse with that outhouse in the back, and I know all about that. Mm-hmm. And when I wanted to thank you publicly for when my preschool class visited with Mayor Harold Washington on the 5th floor of City Hall, and we gave him 2,000 signatures asking him to proclaim April 4th as a day for victims of violence. And he did that on March 13th, 1985. And I wanted to thank you for making Victims of Violence Day Victims of Violence Week when you were an alderman in 1989. So I love it when you say don't count the seniors out, because they are a group that can be counted on, and history should be passed on from the head of the old to the hand of the young, so they can put it in the heart of the future. What do you think about that?
Thank you, Mama D.
I think, Mama D, you Harold Washington would say you're sui generis, meaning in a class by yourself, top of the line, best of the breed. And that's what you are. Thank you so much for remembering all of this stuff. You've been a lioness and continue to be. And, we just love you to death. Keep on doing what you do.
I love it. All right. We got one more caller. We got Denise. Denise, you're live on WVON.
Good morning.
Good
to
morning.
all.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm calling regarding, especially, this is a call is being directed to Congressman Danny K. Davis. When you have a situation when a senior, I'm a senior now, I'm 74 years old, and I'm experiencing now a crisis situation. Who is there to advocate for seniors who's experiencing a crisis situation in terms of housing, affordable housing. I am now at the age where medically I'm unable to move from an apartment that I live in subsidized housing, Section 8, okay? And the property owner is evicting me. He potentially wants me out of this apartment, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Due to his personal reasons, okay? Now I find myself trying to maneuver
Yeah.
with the Chicago Housing Authority, the Section 8, the Housing Choice Voucher Program, in conjunction with the Housing Choice Partners. Okay? I have a 35-year-old schizophrenic, 3.5 to 4-year-old granddaughter, which renders me, and a teenager. Let's not forget, I have a 16-year-old teenager. Okay?
Yeah.
My family composition has since changed. Okay?
Yeah.
But I don't seem to get anybody at the authority to understand.
To advocate. Yeah, to advocate.
Exactly.
Well, Miss Denise, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give Congressman a chance to respond, but we're going to get your phone number. Okay? We're going to get your phone number so that we can route you where you need to go and have somebody reach out to you. Is that okay, Miss Denise?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Regarding Miss Clara Hubbard,
Yeah.
I had for years.
Yeah.
When I was even staying in Cicero, I had during COVID, I had been in and out of contact with her, but due to my situation and all, I was never able to reach out back to her regarding what my plight is now.
Well, definitely give her some well wishes. Let me put you on hold. And is it this button right here? I don't want to hang up. I don't want to mess up the call here. One moment. Is that one right there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. She's on hold and we're going to grab another caller. All right. You are. Wait, I did it wrong. I'm sorry, guys. I don't work the phones very well. We got something going on here. Okay. Here we go. Hi, caller. You're on with Congressman Danny Davis. I don't have your name. I do apologize. We did just pick you up.
Oh, that's okay. My name is Andre. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you as well.
Yeah, so I'm calling because just like the lady said about the senior citizens, I'd like to know what is Danny Davis' recommendations, how we can get a fixed rate on utilities for the seniors. Now, every time these electric companies, they want to go up on the people's bills because they want to improve the grid. Well, why can't we go to these businesses like McDonald's and Burger King, get them to pay a higher rate so that the senior citizens can pay a fixed electric rate? I don't know if you have to collaborate with the governor on the utilities board or what, but just like the lady said, something need to be done about these seniors. They on a fixed income, and every time they give you a $50 raise on your income, on your fixed income, they turn around and take it away with your SNAP benefits. So they put us in a jam, and like I say, they showing no love. Danny, what are your recommendations for that?
Thank you so
much. I'll sit back and listen.
No problem. All right. Congressman.
I think Andre has an excellent idea, but I'll also remind him, I don't have to remind him, I'm sure, that we helped start the Citizens Utility Board many, many years ago with my good friend Pat Quinn, former Governor Pat Quinn. And I was just with Pat last month at a press conference. Pat Quinn and I used to do so many press conferences and petition drives and petition gathering. So that's a great idea, and he's doing exactly any of these ideas. You can take them to an elected official, whether it's an alderman, whether it's a state representative, a state senator, whether it's a member of Congress. You take it to anybody and say, let's get this on the ballot. Let's get this voted on. Mm-hmm. Let's make sure this happens. But you also advocate for it, just like Andre is doing now. So that's the approach.
Yeah.
That is what to do. That is the way to do it. As a matter of fact, and it does work. Every idea that I have advanced during the time I've been in public office, whether it was as an alderman or county commissioner or a member of Congress, people have come up with many of those. And then we take them and massage them, convince other people to agree, and that's what we do. And the lady who had the question relative to public housing, I actually have a person on my staff who works housing because CHA, of course, is funded by the federal government. The money for public housing, much of it, most of it, comes from the federal government. And so my housing person works with the Chicago Housing Authority, but also take people who've got a problem and work through it.
Yeah.
And try and help them find a place that matches their need and their desire. I think we get as many calls for that as we do anything.
Everything. Well, Congressman Danny Davis, I want to thank you for being on with us and being so transparent and vulnerable to my questions, because I tell you what, we see you in one light, but you gave us another, and I think that they both match. So, thank you so much for coming on. Retirement is not the end of your story. Obviously, you got a book coming out, and I'll be ready to support you on that. And I'm sure everyone listening will do the same. If you need anything from Senior Talk or this radio station, WVON, you let us know, because you are a friend of the station. Thank you so much, Congressman Danny Davis.
Thank you.
You're most
welcome. It's been a lot of fun, and I listen to you a lot. Sometimes in the afternoon, sometimes Saturday morning. Right on.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, guys. I want to tell you, we've got an interview coming up that I did with Chicago Commons. As you know, it's the Lifetime or Lifeline for families across the city. They're helping seniors stay in their homes and not just survive. And you will hear more about this in this interview. It's about to play right now.
More from Clara Hubbard and Senior Talk coming up next on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Hey, Chicago, are you looking for a place where your loved one can receive the care and support they deserve? Chicago Commons offers adult day services in the heart of Bronzeville, providing a vibrant and caring community center for seniors and adults with disabilities, and that includes meals, transportation, and engaging activities. We also offer a home care program throughout the Chicagoland area that ensures your loved ones get the support they need right at home. If you're interested in Chicago Commons Senior Services, where compassionate care meets your community, call us today at 773-373-5055.
At ComEd, we create financial assistance programs with you in mind. It's one reason we created SAM, our smart assistance manager, to help families like yours take control of their energy bills. SAM can help you find financial assistance and payment options. Discover programs like budget billing, due date extensions, deferred payment arrangements, and more. You may be relieved to discover what you're eligible for. Learn more at ComEd.com/SAM. ComEd, powering lives.
All right. And joining us on Senior Talk is Terrence Santos de la Rosa Sims, Vice President of Senior Services with Chicago Commons. I'm welcoming you to the show, and I really appreciate talking to you today.
Likewise. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Being a caregiver of my father for 5 years now, one of the things that I have often entertained is him coming to live with me, because it would make it so much easier for me to oversee his care and be there on a consistent basis. As I watched for the past 5 years, my father's health has declined significantly. He had a stroke, and he went from being an everyday at work all the time to, LaDonna, I'm ready for my breakfast. So I want to know, when I offered for him to come and stay with me or one of my brothers, it's like he instantly went into a moment of no, like everything was no. So I ask you this for the reasons that I don't have an answer for, because I would think it would be much easier on a caregiver, even. But why do so many seniors prefer staying in their own homes as they age?
Their homes, where their kids grew up, often hold decades of memories, which can be hard to leave behind. For example, I grew up on the south side of Chicago in the Roseland community in the early 70s. And I lived over there for about 16 years. And sometimes I go back and visit because some of the same families that were there 50 years ago are still there. Even if their grandmothers or great grandparents have passed away, the family still keeps those homes. So there's just a sense of community in which people just want to stay where they're most familiar with.
Understood. That makes a lot of sense. I've really seen firsthand how even smallest changes or the smaller changes can really throw everything off. More than one item, one routine, and then suddenly there's confusion, frustration, the whole gamut. But how does living in a familiar environment impact a senior's emotional and mental well-being?
Well, a familiar environment can have a powerful positive effect. It reduces anxiety and confusion, especially for those with memory issues or memory loss. It provides a sense of security and stability. It reinforces memory through familiar surroundings and routines. It helps prevent feelings of isolation or even depression in some cases. But in contrast, sudden changes in the environment can sometimes lead to disorientation, stress, or even cognitive decline amongst vulnerable individuals.
Well, let's be honest. We don't talk enough about what feels like, aging. Not even just in physically or emotionally. I think about, just so many times we look up and it's 10 years have gone by, 20 years have gone by. And imagine going from being who you used to be to who you are now. So let that sit for a minute. Can leaving home affect a senior's sense of identity or independence?
You know what? Yes, oftentimes it can. It's not absolute, not always, but home is closely tied to a person's identity. It's where they've built their life. They've raised their families. They've made decisions on their own terms. Living in that environment can make you feel that there's a loss of control or autonomy, lead to diminished sense of self and purpose, create feelings of being dependent or displaced. Even when assisted living offers better physical support, the emotional adjustment can be significant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you're balancing safety, finances, time, emotional capacity, and somewhere in the middle of all that is someone you love. I feel this. It's so deep. Who may or may not agree with you, it doesn't matter. For the families listening right now, trying to figure this out in real time, what advice would you give families who are deciding between aging in place and moving to assisted living?
Well, there's no one size fit all answer, right? It just depends on one's health, as you mentioned, safety, one's personal preference. If we consider a balanced approach, consider aging in place, if the home can be made safe, accessible, meaning grab bars, minimal stairs, proper lighting, things like that, the senior is relatively independent. So their access to in-home care or nearby family support, if they can have those resources, if they're able and they're eligible to have those resources, that can be a benefit. But if we're considering something like assisted living, that suggests that there are probably more serious medical or mobility needs. Safety is a concern because now we're talking about falls, medication management, things like that. And then social isolation is becoming a problem, right? A lot of our seniors, sometimes our caregivers are the only people that they see for weeks, for months, because their family either is not around, live in other states, or they don't come and visit them. So the most important advice that I could probably give is to, if possible, include the senior, older adults in those decisions, because it preserves dignity, it preserves respect, and it reduces resistance if they do have to move out of their homes and move and age in a different facility that's not in a familiar environment in which they have been used to for years or decades.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you what, one of the biggest myths is that people have to figure this one out alone. That's not true. There are resources, programs, entire organizations. I just want people to understand how important it is to look into these resources. Can you share some resources with our listening audience?
Sure. I mean, depending on what exactly we're looking for, here at Chicago Commons, we have an adult day center in which 5 days a week, 8 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m., where we have seniors come out and they participate in daily activities. They go out on outings, they interact, we celebrate holidays, birthdays. There's a lot of learning pieces to that. We have musicians come out, they go to civic operas, they go to the museum, they go to plays. So there's a lot of interaction. And it's not just seniors. Let me make that note of Adult Day. There's been a stigma that would suggest that it's only older adults. We do have younger adults, depending on their diagnosis of health, possible disability. And of course, there's our home care services, which is pivotal for aging in place. A lot of our seniors, our older adults, they are very independent. They're used to cooking, they're used to cleaning, they're used to sweeping, they're used to running their own errands. But over time, as we age and things change and our body changes, we kind of slow down. But this is where Chicago Commons comes in with their in-home care services. We have highly qualified caregivers. A lot of our caregivers are CNAs. They have a strong healthcare background. So they do the daily living activities for them, the cooking, the cleaning, the washing, the running errands. And then there's the emotional, mental part that we talked about earlier. It alleviates social isolation. So there's a companionship part that goes along, because here at Chicago Commons, we pride ourselves on respect, dignity, integrity, being reliable, being dependable, having strong communication skills and interpersonal skills that go a very long way when we interact with our seniors when we provide home care. So it's not just about daily activities, personal grooming and bathing and things like that. It's also the interaction and the connection that they get from our caregivers. And a lot of times we have a lot of long-standing clients that we have 10, 15, 20 years. And those seniors become like family to the caregivers, which entail they become family to Chicago Commons.
Love it. How can families actually access home care services with you guys?
They can actually call us at 773-373-5055, or they can reach out on our website, www.chicagocommons.org.
Wow. Well, I really want to thank you, Terrence. And did I say your name right? I love putting my little roll of the tongue there. Santos de la Rosa.
De la Rosa. You got it just right. Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Vice President of Senior Services at Chicago Commons. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again or hearing from you again.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Of course. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Having those conversations where it is needed. How to keep seniors in their homes. You have no idea how much I push and pulled with my father. I asked him to come. I said, you know what? Just come live with me. And he said, no, I like my house. Okay, Dad, but I can't I can't get to you fast enough. And it has been very, very, very stressful. But we found a way for him to stay in his home. But it's still a work in progress. We're not there yet. But if he keeps on, I'm going to have to get a bigger house and just say, hey, I want you to come visit. And I'm going to go pick him up and just roll him on into his room. That's it. Again, you're listening to Senior Talk, brought to you by Chicago Commons. I have another guest that I'm going to close the show with. The reason why we played Lonely Teardrops at the beginning of this show is because, well, the Jackie Wilson story is next week. And myself and Atiba, my co-host, will be hosting that night on Friday. And I wanted the opportunity to speak to someone or have someone come on that is ready to talk about his experience with Jackie Wilson. But before we get to him, I want to tell you a little bit about what I've learned about Chicago Commons. First of all, I wish I had known them 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago. Because when I look at everything that they have for seniors, they help seniors age in place. They have caregiver support, which is very significant for myself. And they have resource navigation. The resource navigation piece, and let me move on to social engagement so folks aren't isolated. Now, I have struggled with resource navigation. My children entered high school. My father needs to enter into retirement and long-term caregiving and everything else. But it has been so tensed and difficult to know who to call, when to call them, and why. So I keep a note. Consistently in my repertoire on my father. Those of you that are listening as seniors, I hope that you have an advocate in your family. I hope that you have someone in your family that you can start handing things off to, and make them a partner in your aging process. Make them a partner so that they hear things, retain things, and can help you through things, no matter what it is. My mother called me just yesterday. She cut up one of her debit cards, said it expired, got a new card in the mail. This is why she cut it up. And she was unable to pay her bills. I said, okay, Ma, I'll help you. So I log in and I try to put in the new debit card number. She gives me the debit card number. It's too many numbers. I said, are you sure that's the number? Yeah, I'm sure. And come to find out, that was her savings account card, debit card, or ATM card. There's a difference. Debit card has the MasterCard Visa logo on it so that you can use it anywhere. Your savings account ATM card is just a bunch of numbers. There's no indicator that it can be used as a Visa or MasterCard. So I just wanted to share that with you because she and I are lock in step. I can work with her and I become a partner with her. And it makes it so much easier to, should I say, help her navigate through these situations. That's right. I said situations. Okay. But thank you so much, Chicago Commons. You guys are amazing. I'm loving this, the fact that you have this organization, chicagocommons.org. We only have a few minutes and we were trying to get my guest on, but maybe we'll save him for next week. But I'll tell you what he told me. He said, Jackie Wilson, his experience with Jackie Wilson. He said he was a heck of a character, a heck of a person. He got his start in records by getting a phone call from Herb Kent. Now, not Jackie Wilson, but the person I'm talking about. And I want to tell you his name, but I'm going to save him for next week. I'll tell you. It's Kirkland Burke. That's right. Record exec. RCA, right? And we're not able to reach him because I guess he doesn't know the studio number. Maybe it doesn't recognize it. That's possible. I told him a 312 number, but my number is 312, so maybe he was expecting my number. Okay, so we'll make it good. But I'll tell you what we talked about. He said he told me about how his experience with Jackie Wilson's song played here on WVON a few years after its inception. So we started in 1963 and Jackie Wilson hit a few years after that. But here's why I'm so excited. I was so excited to bring him on, but I'm going to close with my rendition of our conversation. He said, when that song played, it was so popular And when I say, I think it was Lonely Teardrops, I'm looking for my notes. But when that song played, it was so popular that it had to go back. They had to go back to the record execs and reassure them that this was the song to play. So watch this as I get my notes. I got several of them. There we go. I found it. He said, I never worked with Jackie Wilson. He was with Brunswick. He saw him at the Green Bunny for Herb Kent's birthday party. And shortly after, he had a stroke. But in the meantime, before that, women went crazy over him. Kirkland Burke started with the Beatles. He certainly saw something in Jackie Wilson's music. In 1963, when WVON came on, they played Jackie Wilson years later when it came out. It was originally recorded by the Dells. Carl Davis secretly brought the Funk Brothers, and they were playing the bass line. And it was rumored that as soon as Berry Gordy heard it, he was upset because he recognized that bass line.
LaDonna,
and
you got Kirkland Burke. He's on the line.
He's on the line. Let's bring him in real quick. I only have like 1 minute.
Oh, apologies.
Kirkland,
I had a little emergency.
Oh my God. And you know, I had one yesterday. I was so ready to bring you on to talk about this. Now we got to close with your thoughts on Jackie Wilson. I told him everything else.
Jackie was a phenomenal talent. Just unbelievable the way the people reacted to him. It's hard to describe it. He was like, the women would go there and fall out, try and climb up on the stage, that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people mistakenly said Elvis copied from him. They actually were friends. And they both learned from each other. Jackie said he learned as much from Elvis as Elvis learned from him.
Wow, that's that. And see, now it's 8:00 and we have to close. But Kirkland Burke, I had the pleasure of talking to you yesterday. Now you got to come back and tell your story. What do you think about that?
Anytime.
All right, I love you for it, man. Love you dearly. All right, guys, we're gonna close out Senior Talk. And just in case you're wondering, yes, I am filling in for Clara Hubbard. Well wishes to her. Absolutely, I'm just filling in. But watch this. Senior Talk will be back next week. And next Friday, I'm going to be hosting the Jackie Wilson story. So get your tickets. Go to Eventbrite, or you can go to WVON.com. It'll be at the Black Ensemble Theater. That's right. And we will see you next Saturday, if not Friday and Saturday. Get it. Put those comments in Facebook, share the show, and we'll see you next time. I'll be back at 9 a.m. for the Wake Up Show, Chicago. Bye-bye for now.
Happy birthday, WVON. You're 63 years young and an icon of American radio.
Here's BIN News now.